The World Cup is perhaps the most iconic trophy in sport, and to lift it for one's country is what every player dreams of, and the greatest even more so. As the World Cup is only every 4 years, and it doesn't matter how good you are for your club, the real legends are created at the World Cup. So in today's video, we're going to look at 8 players who have never lifted the golden trophy and are considered some of the best. Coming in at number 8, we have perhaps the most famous footballer on the planet, maybe now known more for his ambassador role for Qatar and other things rather than his footballing career. But Beckham was part of the England squad at the World Cup finals many times. First one was back in 1998, which was a bit of a controversial one in France, as the team's manager Glenn Hoddle publicly accused Beckham of not focusing on the tournament. Beckham also made headlines across the world in the last 16 game as he received a red card against Argentina, having been fouled by Diego Simeone, and then Beckham proceeded to kick Simeone while lying on the floor, striking him on the calf muscle. Many supporters and journalists blamed Beckham for England's elimination after this, and he became the target of much abuse after. However, Simeone later admitted to trying to get Beckham sent off by overreacting to the kick, and then along with the other members of his team urging the referee to send Beckham off. So not a great World Cup for Beckham. Nevertheless, the 2002 World Cup was a better one, as Beckham was partially fit and played in the first game against Sweden. After the events 4 years earlier, Beckham achieved a degree of revenge over Argentina by scoring the winning goal, which was a penalty, causing Argentina to fail to qualify for the knockout stage. England went on to beat the plucky Denmark team in the last 16, with Beckham providing an assist in a 3-0 victory. However, England were unfortunately knocked out in the quarterfinals by the eventual winners Brazil after Ronaldinho scored an absolutely sublime free kick. 4 years on, and Beckham's last World Cup was the 2006, and it started against Paraguay. Beckham's free kick led to an own goal by Carlos Gamara as England won 1-0. In the following game against Trinidad and Tobago, Beckham's cross in the 93rd minute led to a Peter Crouch goal, which put England into the lead, and Beckham gave another assist to Steven Gerrard in the end, and they won 2-0, and Beckham found himself man of the match. During England's second round match against Ecuador, Beckham managed to score from a free kick in the 59th minute, becoming the first England player in history to score in 3 separate World Cups, and England won 1-0 against the South American team. Before the quarterfinal, he was sick before the game, unfortunately, and vomited. And in the quarterfinals, they were against Portugal. Beckham was substituted following an injury shortly after halftime, and the England team went on to lose the match on penalties, unfortunately. So that was the end of the road for Beckham and his opportunity to lift the World Cup like Bobby Moore. And unfortunately for Golden Balls, it was never a reality, despite having one of the most incredible England teams ever seen. Coming in number 7, Paolo Maldini. The Italian defender is widely regarded as being one of the best defenders of all time. His ability to read the game allowed him to lead his club team AC Milan to 5 Champions League titles. However, the Italian was continually frustrated in his efforts at the FIFA World Cups. Taking part in 4 editions of the famous tournament, the Italian didn't win a single one. The closest the former AC Milan captain came to lifting the trophy was in 1994, when the Italians lost out to Brazil via a penalty shootout. And unfortunately, Maldini wasn't part of the 2006 glory with Italy, so that meant the famous Italian never lifted the golden trophy. Coming in at number 6, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, despite being 41 years old, is still an icon of the sport and immensely talented, having played for so many of the biggest teams in the world. However, on an international front, despite being Sweden's all-time record goal scorer, Zlatan missed out on the 2022 World Cup, which would have been the 3rd World Cup of his career, and this could also spell the end of his chance of ever winning the World Cup. Coupled with that, it hasn't been the greatest of success for Sweden in the 3 World Cups where he was at, and it just shows you can be the best player in the world, but if you haven't got a good international team, there is not a lot you can do in the World Cups. Next on our list, we have one of the biggest names in football, Neymar da Silva Santos Jr., better known as Neymar, who has been a star for both his club team PSG and Brazil in recent years. Neymar has tasted success for the national team already, winning the 2016 Olympics in the football competition. However, in terms of World Cup success, the closest Neymar has been was 4th place at the 2014 Rio World Cup, and in the 2008 2018 World Cup, his Brazilian team unfortunately lost to Belgium in the quarterfinals. Neymar has often been mentioned in the same sentence as Pelé, and he's only 2 goals behind him in the overall goal scoring tally for Brazil, but he still needs to carry his national team to Golden Cup success, and maybe in Qatar this will happen. Coming in at number 4, we have arguably the best goalkeeper in the world, the Great Dane himself, Peter Schmeichel. Peter Schmeichel boasts 129 games for Denmark, despite multiple titles at club level and being part of the amazing 1992 Euros success for Denmark. It never really happened on the World Cup stage. In 1993, Schmeichel and Denmark, despite being the defending European champions, failed to qualify for the 1994 World Cup as they were tied on points and goal difference with the Republic of Ireland and went out on goals scored. Schmeichel was part of the Danish squad for the 1998 World Cup. He was one of the leading members of the Danish campaign, which ultimately ended in a 3-2 quarterfinal loss to Brazil. Peter Schmeichel, despite being one of the best goalkeepers in history, never tasted his success on the World Cup front. Coming in at number 3, we have Johan Cruyff of the Netherlands. Johan Cruyff was just as splendid a football player as he was a manager. A true pioneer of the sport, Cruyff, through his total football, shaped much of what we recognize as the modern game today. The famous Cruyff turn was first introduced to the world at the 1974 FIFA World Cup. Unfortunately, the spectacular piece of the skill would be Cruyff's only talking point from the tournament, making the World Cup one of the few honors that the Dutchman failed to win over the course of his glittering career. So it doesn't matter how big your name is, sometimes you won't win the World Cup. But staying on that theme, coming in at number 2, we have Cristiano Ronaldo. Not many football players can boast the frankly ridiculous trophy cabinet that Cristiano Ronaldo has amassed over the course of his career, and the list of records he has for both clubs and country, being the all-time Portuguese goal scorer in history and also for Real Madrid before he left. In addition to this, with 5 Ballon d'Ors, 5 UEFA Champions League trophies, 3 Premier League trophies, 2 La Ligas, a Serie A title, to name a few, Ronaldo is rightly regarded as one of the best players to have ever graced the game. For many a year, he was plagued by the lack of international trophy success, and he managed to end that drought by winning the European Championships, but he hasn't yet to lift the coveted FIFA World Cup trophy, and he failed on a few occasions. However, with the 2022 World Cup, this could be the final chance for the superstar for one final push to lift the famous trophy. We can't say Cristiano Ronaldo without our number 1 pick, and this is Lionel Messi. There have been very few football players throughout the history with the supreme talent and ability of the maestro Lionel Messi. With Messi being the all-time record goal scorer for Argentina, this really speaks for itself, having broken almost every record imaginable for both club and country. However, not even 6 Ballon d'Ors, 4 Champions Leagues, 10 La Liga titles, which scratch this plaguing itch of the Argentinian on his quest for an illustrious international title. The closest that the PSG forward came to lifting the title was back in 2014 when the Argentinian side were beaten by a Mario Götze goal in extra time in the World Cup final in Brazil. Antagonizingly close, alas, not close enough. But perhaps in the 2022 Qatar World Cup, this will all change and we'll have to wait and see. But the loss to Saudi Arabia is definitely a hinder to this plan, and potentially we might see Messi never win this trophy. That's basically it for this video. Make sure to comment down below if I missed any players out, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel as we're almost at 100 subscribers. And as always, thank you very much for watching and have a nice day.